Okay, we're getting ready now to put the block on the engine. Obviously we need pistons on, but the first thing to do is put these little, can you see this? These little O-rings in the 4 places. Very, very important. Now, when we pull this engine apart, we use the puller plate, so we didn't destroy or damage any of these faces. Here is the prime place for it to go, and on this side too. So this is nice. If you have carved it up by sticking something in to prise it up, then really before you put the base gasket on, I would put some 3-bond on the areas that are damaged, and hopefully that'll fix it for you. A lot of people don't put this on first, but then they struggle to get this over the pistons and you can tear the gasket. So this is the first thing that goes on. Well, the second thing after the rings, or the O-rings. So just get it on nice and evenly. It can hook up on the threads, so just be very careful. And make sure you push it over the studs where they widen out a bit. Before we actually push the block down for the final time, we will check that these rings are still in place, these O-rings. Next thing I do, grease all the studs. You don't need a vast amount, but as we know, the wetter the better. Bit of lube goes a long way. And it also helps the bolts to go down a lot easier. And once the block's on, you can't think, oh, I should have done that. Even the little one. Bit of grease. Plus, it also protects them if at any point you need to pull the head back off, the barrels back off. So give them a good lubing. And if you use rubber gloves, you don't get your hands all shit up. Right, that's good. Right, we're going to put the pistons on now. Pistons on the con rods. I've laid them out. I think you can see. Yeah, you can. As I say, it is an idiot's guide, so right, centre and left, and obviously this is as you're sat on the bike. So this is the right hand side. On a piston, you've got an arrow. The arrow points to the exhaust. Very, very important because it will alter the port timing if you put it on the wrong way around. So arrows, always forwards. I've already put the circlips on one side of all these, so they're in. And as you can see, I've put the piston rings in. And a little trick I do is put tie wraps on. Because if you're putting the block on your own, it's so easy. It's a bit fiddly putting the tie wraps on, but it's a lot easier than trying to feed the piston rings into the hole whilst you're hanging onto it because it's bloody heavy. So I'll show you that as we get there. So I always put the center piston in first. So again, I put it in from this side, so I've put the circlip on this side. So what I do is, I get my gudgeon pin, I get the little end bearing, and then I put this pre-lube on it. Nice sticky gooey oil, but it's perfect because it sticks, the engine doesn't start up dry. Put it in that way and roll it round a few times so everything is now coated. Withdraw the gudgeon pin, and as I say, I'm building it from that side, so the gudgeon pin goes in just till it's just shy of the face. That can stay there for a second. Get this gunge off my hands. Thrust washers, spacer washers, whatever you want to call them. A bit more of this goo. I hope you can see that. Yeah. Just a little bit. That's all it needs, but obviously it lubricates, but it also holds it in place. If you just give it a twist, it holds itself on. Perfect. Same on this one, a bit more, just a bit. Put it on. And it holds itself in place. Piston, very simple. Push it down, find the hole and push the gudgeon pin through till it stops against this circlip. Making sure, obviously, well, I don't know if it's not obvious, but these engines were built from the 500, so it uses 2 left pistons and 1 right piston. So this is the left piston, that's the left piston, that's the right piston. So there it is. When we put the circlips in, I'll show you on this one, the gap in the circlip is at the bottom. So if it's got a tang on it like that, make sure that the solid bit is at the top, which is the place you can flick it out. It's just what I do. Oh, and I forgot to mention rags. Put rags all around here, because when you're putting these little circlips in, they can obviously flick out. And if it flicks into the crankcase, you're pulling the engine apart again. So just pop that in there. And then I push it home with the little screwdriver, making sure that all you're pushing is obviously the circlip, and you'll hear it click into place. Then rotate. These will only go they'll only rotate one way, because the end of the circlip digs in. Also, by rotating the circlip, you know it's in the groove. Then I get a torch and just double check that it is in, which it is. So that's great. So I'll now repeat this process another 2 times. I'll come back to you in a minute.